Today, I want to talk about one of the most critical yet overlooked principles of success: consistency. Now, let me tell you, consistency is not glamorous, it's not flashy, it's not the thing that will get you applause on day one. But I'll tell you this, it's the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. Let me ask you, have you ever made a promise to yourself, something big like, this is it, I'm going to lose weight, save money, or finally write that book? You start strong, you're fired up, but then life happens. And before you know it, that fire fizzles out. Sound familiar? Here's the truth: enthusiasm gets you started, but consistency gets you finished. Now, you might say, Jim, I know consistency is important, but how do I force myself to stick to it? That's what we're going to tackle today. Let me share with you 3 key principles to master the art of consistency. If you want to succeed in anything, whether it's building a business, improving your health, or pursuing a lifelong dream, you must start with a vision that excites you. Why? Because vision is the foundation of consistency. Without it, you're like a ship without a compass, drifting directionless and at the mercy of the winds. A powerful vision isn't just a nice to have, it's your fuel. It's what keeps you moving forward when the path gets tough, when distractions come calling, and when motivation seems to vanish into thin air. Too often, people set goals that don't truly inspire them. They say they want to make more money, lose weight, or learn a new skill, but they haven't attached those goals to something that genuinely matters to them. If your goal doesn't spark something deep within you, it will never survive the inevitable obstacles. Excitement is what keeps the fire alive, even when progress is slow or challenges arise. Let's dig deeper into this idea. Imagine 2 people deciding to get in shape. The first person says, I want to lose 20 pounds because, well, I think I should. The second person says, I want to lose 20 pounds because I want to feel confident walking into a room. I want the energy to play with my kids without getting winded. And I want to live long enough to see my grandchildren grow up now. Let me ask you, who do you think is more likely to stay consistent? It's obvious, isn't it? The difference is vision. The second person isn't just focused on the task of losing weight, they're deeply connected to why it matters. That why makes all the difference. When you have a vision that excites you, the hard work becomes worth it. The sacrifices feel meaningful. You start to see every small action as a step towards something greater, and that keeps you showing up day after day. Here's the truth: you'll never stay consistent with something that feels like a chore. If you approach your goals with a sense of dread or obligation, you'll eventually quit. But when your goal is tied to an inspiring vision, it stops being a chore and becomes a calling. Think about it. Do Olympic athletes push themselves through grueling training sessions because they enjoy every moment of the process? Of course not. They do it because they're chasing a vision, standing on the podium, hearing their national anthem, and knowing they've achieved something extraordinary. That vision is what drives them to keep going, even when it's hard. Now, you might be thinking, that's great for athletes or people chasing big dreams, but what about me? My goals don't feel that exciting. If that's the case, I challenge you to dig deeper. Every goal, no matter how small it may seem, can be tied to a bigger vision. Let's say you want to save money. On the surface, that might not seem thrilling. But why do you want to save money? Is it so you can buy your first home and create a space for your family? Is it so you can travel the world and experience new cultures? Is it so you can leave a legacy for your children? When you connect your goal to a vision that truly matters to you, it transforms from a task into a mission. Here's another example. Imagine you're starting a new business. The early days are tough. You're working long hours, facing rejection and barely seeing results. If your motivation is simply to make money, it's easy to get discouraged and give up. But if your vision is to build something meaningful, to create a product or service that changes lives, or to achieve financial freedom for your family, those challenges become part of the journey. Your vision gives you the resilience to keep going, even when the going gets tough. One of the most powerful things about having an exciting vision is that it keeps you focused. In today's world, distractions are everywhere. Social media, endless notifications, and the constant pull of entertainment can easily derail you from your goals. But when you have a clear vision, it acts like a beacon. It reminds you of what's truly important and helps you say no to distractions that don't align with your purpose. Think about this: every time you say yes to something that doesn't move you closer to your vision, you're saying no to your dreams. That's a sobering thought, isn't it? But it's also empowering because it puts the power in your hands. When you're clear about your vision, decision-making becomes easier. You stop wasting time on things that don't matter and start focusing on the actions that will bring your vision to life. Now, let's talk about the emotional aspect of vision. A vision that excites you doesn't just appeal to your mind, it stirs your heart. It's something you can see, feel, and almost taste. Close your eyes and picture your vision as vividly as you can. If your goal is to start your own business, imagine what it would feel like to walk into an office you built, surrounded by a team you inspired. If your goal is to improve your health, picture yourself running a marathon, full of energy and strength. The more vividly you can imagine your vision, the more real it becomes and the more motivated you'll be to make it happen. This is why visualization is such a powerful tool. It's not just a feel-good exercise, it's a way to train your brain to stay focused and consistent. When you regularly visualize your vision, it becomes ingrained in your subconscious. You start to believe in it, and that belief drives your actions. Here's the thing, your vision doesn't have to be perfect, and it doesn't have to make sense to anyone else. It just has to matter to you. Some of the greatest achievements in history started with a vision that seemed impossible or even crazy. The Wright brothers had a vision of humans flying through the air when everyone else thought it was a ridiculous idea. Steve Jobs had a vision of putting a computer in every home when computers were seen as giant, impractical machines. These visions weren't easy to achieve, but they were exciting enough to keep their creators consistent in the face of doubt and failure. You might not be inventing the airplane or revolutionizing technology, but your vision is no less important. It's yours, and it has the power to change your life if you stay consistent. So how do you create a vision that excites you? Start by asking yourself some big questions. What do you really want? What lights a fire in your soul? What kind of life do you want to create? Not just in the next year, but in the next decade or beyond. Don't limit yourself by what you think is possible right now. Your vision should be bold, ambitious, and maybe even a little scary. Once you have a clear vision, write it down. Put it somewhere you'll see it every day. Let it remind you of why you started and where you're going. And don't be afraid to revise it as you grow. Your vision might evolve over time, and that's okay. What matters is that it continues to excite and inspire you. Remember, a vision without action is just a dream, but action without vision is just movement. To achieve greatness, you need both. Your vision gives you the direction, and your consistency takes you there. So I'll leave you with this thought: whatever your goal, make sure it's connected to a vision that truly excites you. When you're deeply connected to your why, you'll find the strength to push through any challenge. And when you combine that vision with consistent action, there's no limit to what you can achieve. Creating non-negotiable habits is one of the most powerful ways to ensure consistency, and it all starts with recognizing the truth that the secret to success is not in the bursts of inspiration or sporadic acts of effort. It lies in the daily routines and actions we commit to. Most people think of success as something extraordinary, something that only a select few achieve through talent, luck, or sheer willpower. But in reality, success is the result of countless small, seemingly insignificant actions repeated day after day. These actions compound over time and lead to extraordinary results. The key to turning these actions into tangible results lies in the habits we form. Think about it. Every day you make hundreds of decisions. From the moment you wake up to the moment you go to bed, you're making choices, some big, some small. But here's the kicker: your habits are simply the sum of the decisions you've made over time. If you've developed habits that serve your goals, you're consistently moving in the right direction. If you've developed habits that don't serve your goals, you're consistently moving further away from what you want. The first thing you need to understand about building non-negotiable habits is that they don't come naturally. They have to be intentionally built, and they require effort at the beginning. You see, in the early stages of forming a new habit, motivation will be your driving force. But motivation is a fleeting emotion. Some days you'll feel motivated, and other days you won't. That's why the real work comes in establishing habits that you don't rely on motivation for. They simply become a part of who you are. So how do you create non-negotiable habits? First and foremost, you need to identify what actions are non-negotiable for you, what actions must be done no matter what. And to do this, you must be brutally honest with yourself. Look at your goals and ask yourself, what daily actions will get me closer to where I want to be? This might mean getting up at 5 a.m., to work on your business before your regular job, or committing to working out every morning, even when you don't feel like it. It could mean setting aside 30 minutes each day to read or study, or setting aside a few hours every weekend to work on personal projects. The key is identifying the actions that will truly move the needle in the direction you want to go, and making them a non-negotiable part of your day. Next, you have to be patient with yourself. It's easy to expect instant results and feel discouraged if progress isn't immediate. But the truth is, building habits takes time. It takes consistency. In the beginning, it will feel hard. Your mind will tell you to quit or to skip just this one day. But remember, this consistency doesn't mean doing it perfectly. It means doing it every day, even if it's imperfect. You won't feel like doing something every day. That's human nature. But the key is to do it anyway. When you commit to a non-negotiable habit, you're making a promise to yourself, and when you break that promise, you start to erode your own self-trust. This brings us to another key aspect of habit formation: accountability. One of the most powerful ways to ensure that your habits stick is to involve someone else in the process. When you tell someone about your commitment, you create an external force that holds you accountable. And there's something powerful about knowing that someone else is watching your progress, cheering you on, and most importantly, expecting you to follow through. Accountability partners don't just hold you responsible for the physical actions, they also hold you accountable to the promises you've made to yourself. They can help you stay focused when your motivation wanes. They can remind you why you started when you want to quit. Another important point is that non-negotiable habits need to be small and manageable. This doesn't mean you have to start with small goals, but it does mean starting with small actions. For example, if your goal is to run a marathon, it's unrealistic to expect yourself to run 26 miles on the first day. Instead, start with a manageable daily habit, perhaps a 15-minute jog each day. As you build that habit, you'll naturally want to push yourself to go further, run faster, or build up your endurance. The power of small, consistent actions is that they create momentum, and momentum leads to bigger achievements. Another key factor in creating non-negotiable habits is designing your environment in such a way that it supports your goals. We are creatures of habit, and we are heavily influenced by our surroundings. If you want to develop the habit of reading every day, put your book by your bed so that it's the first thing you see when you wake up. If you want to eat healthier, fill your kitchen with nutritious food and remove unhealthy options from sight. If you want to write a book, set up a quiet, comfortable space where you can focus. By designing your environment to make it easy to perform the habits you want to form, you remove the friction that can prevent you from following through. The fewer obstacles you have, the more likely you are to follow through on your commitments. But perhaps the most important thing to understand about non-negotiable habits is that they must be tied to your vision. Remember, consistency without a clear vision is simply a routine, it's not progress. When your daily actions are connected to a bigger purpose, a deeper why, you'll have the energy and motivation to stick with them long after the initial excitement has faded. At the core of it all is this truth: you will only be as successful as the habits you keep. If you're looking for a quick fix, a shortcut to success, you're not going to find it. There's no magic pill. But if you're willing to show up every single day, to commit to the process and take consistent action, then you will see results. When you turn your habits into non-negotiable parts of your life, you will develop the discipline to keep going, no matter what. And that's when real transformation happens. So ask yourself, what non-negotiable habits do I need to build today in order to achieve the success I desire? The answer is simple: start small, be consistent, and make those habits part of your identity. Over time, the results will speak for themselves, and you'll realize that your consistency wasn't a matter of willpower, it was a matter of commitment to your own success. Now, let's move on to the third key point regarding accountability. Accountability is a concept that people often overlook, yet it's one of the most powerful forces for ensuring consistency in any area of life. Accountability means being answerable to someone for your actions, goals, and promises. It means that you're not in this alone, and someone else has your back to ensure that you follow through. The truth is, no matter how motivated or driven we are, we all have moments when we feel like quitting or when we question our abilities. But having someone who can hold us accountable, someone who is invested in our success, makes a tremendous difference in our ability to stick with it. We've all heard the phrase, "It's not what you know, it's who you know," and in the context of consistency, that couldn't be more true. When you surround yourself with people who are committed to your success, your chances of achieving your goals increase exponentially. This isn't just about finding someone to cheer you on. This is about creating a system of accountability that keeps you moving forward, even when you don't feel like it. Here's how accountability works. It creates a sense of responsibility. You're no longer just accountable to yourself, which can sometimes be easy to ignore. Instead, you're accountable to someone else. This adds an extra layer of pressure to follow through because someone else is watching. And the fear of disappointing someone, whether it's a friend, family member, mentor, or coach, often outweighs the temptation to quit. But accountability isn't just about external pressure, it's also about having a support system in place. When you know that someone is there to provide guidance, offer feedback, and share in your successes and struggles, you're more likely to stay consistent. This is why having a mentor or coach is so powerful. They can help you stay focused on your vision, ensure that you're on the right track, and provide the encouragement you need to keep going. This external accountability is one of the reasons why group settings, whether it's a mastermind, a fitness class, or a business team, can be so effective. There's power in numbers. When you're part of a group that's all working towards similar goals, you feel a sense of camaraderie and shared responsibility. You don't want to be the one who drops the ball. You want to show up and be a part of the collective effort. One of the most effective ways to build accountability is to share your goals with others. This could be as simple as telling a friend, a colleague, or a mentor about your objectives and asking them to check in with you regularly. When you make your goals public, you add a level of accountability that is difficult to ignore. You're no longer just letting yourself down. If you fail to follow through, you're letting down the people who are invested in your success. But there's more to accountability than just having someone check in on you. True accountability involves giving others permission to hold you to a higher standard. It's about allowing others to challenge you when you're not doing your best, to point out when you're slacking off, and to push you beyond your limits. When you invite this kind of accountability into your life, you create a culture of excellence that can propel you towards success. At the end of the day, accountability isn't a crutch, it's a tool. It's a tool that allows you to push through the resistance, to maintain your consistency, and to achieve your goals. It keeps you on track when you'd rather quit and reminds you that you're not alone in the process. So if you want to achieve greatness, don't just rely on your own willpower. Get someone in your corner who will hold you accountable and support you every step of the way. Accountability is often the overlooked secret to consistent success. In the world of self-improvement, it's easy to talk about willpower, discipline, and motivation. We hear about setting goals, making plans, and putting in the work, but one thing that gets less attention is the simple but powerful tool of accountability. It's something that we all need, yet many try to go it alone, assuming that they can simply rely on themselves to follow through. Let me tell you something, relying solely on your own willpower and motivation is a mistake. If you want to stay consistent and turn your dreams into reality, you must learn to embrace the power of accountability. To understand why accountability works, we need to first acknowledge a fundamental truth about human nature. We're not great at being honest with ourselves. It's incredibly easy to convince ourselves that we can skip one day, that we're too tired, or that we'll do it tomorrow. The temptation to procrastinate is always there, pulling at us. But the moment someone else is aware of your goals, your dreams, your commitment, the dynamic changes. You now have someone else invested in your success, and that adds an external layer of motivation that makes it much harder to skip a day or give up when things get tough. When you start to share your goals with someone, you essentially create a safety net for your progress. Not only are you making yourself more accountable, but you're also inviting someone else to join you on your journey. This doesn't just help you stay consistent, it builds a sense of community around your vision. The power of social influence is real, and when you have someone to check in with, someone to encourage you when you're struggling, someone to celebrate your small victories with, the process becomes more enjoyable and meaningful. It transforms from a solo journey into a shared experience. Now, let's talk about how to incorporate accountability into your life in a way that works. The first step is making your goals public. You've probably heard this before, but it's worth repeating because of how effective it is. When you tell someone about your plans, whether it's a close friend, a mentor, or a coach, you're making a public commitment. This means that now you're not just accountable to yourself, you're also accountable to someone else. There's power in that external pressure. We don't want to let others down, so we tend to put in the effort even when motivation is low. This is why publicly declaring your goals is so crucial. Don't just write them down in a notebook where they can easily be forgotten. Tell someone who will hold you to your word, who will ask you how things are going and will follow up on your progress. You'd be amazed at how much more committed you become when you know someone is expecting you to take action. Having someone you report to, even on a casual level, makes you far more likely to take the necessary steps every single day. But accountability doesn't only come from telling someone else. It also comes from creating systems of accountability for yourself. This means setting up regular check-ins or benchmarks. If you're working toward a fitness goal, for example, you could schedule a weekly check-in with a friend or a trainer. You could even sign up for an accountability group that meets virtually or in person. If your goal is business-related, you could have weekly meetings with a mentor or an advisor who will ask tough questions about your progress. The key is to make sure that these check-ins are non-negotiable. When you know someone is going to ask you about your results, you'll be less likely to procrastinate. Accountability works because it forces us to show up even when we don't feel like it. It removes the option to back out. Imagine if every time you planned a workout, you had a friend waiting at the gym, ready to go. Would you cancel? Would you skip it? Of course not. You'd show up because the moment you commit to someone else, your excuses start to fade. That's the power of accountability. It's not about having someone stand over you telling you what to do. It's about knowing that someone else cares about your success and is there to help you through the tough moments. Another important aspect of accountability is the role it plays in building your confidence. When you're accountable to someone else, you're more likely to push through challenges and overcome self-doubt. You'll start to see that you're not in this alone. And over time, as you keep showing up, you'll gain confidence in your ability to achieve your goals. The more you prove to yourself that you can be consistent, the more you'll trust yourself in the process. But accountability isn't just about sharing your progress or staying on track. It's also about accepting the feedback and constructive criticism that comes along with it. This is where having the right people in your life is crucial. Accountability works best when you have someone who not only checks in on your progress, but also gives you honest feedback. When you know someone is looking out for your best interests, they can point out blind spots, suggest improvements, and challenge you to push beyond your comfort zone. If you truly want to grow, you have to be open to feedback and willing to accept constructive criticism. This is where many people falter. They seek out accountability, but only from people who will tell them what they want to hear. But real growth comes when you open yourself up to honest, sometimes uncomfortable feedback. If you're serious about achieving your goals, you need to surround yourself with people who are willing to give you honest insights and hold you to a higher standard. This is the difference between accountability and mere support. Accountability challenges you to be better, to rise above mediocrity, and to keep moving forward when it feels easier to quit. As you progress on your journey, you'll start to see the value of accountability even more. The simple act of checking in with someone or having someone to report to will keep you focused, driven, and moving toward your goal. The more consistent you are with your habits and the more you lean into accountability, the more likely you'll experience progress. As you do so, it becomes easier to stay committed to your goals, even when things get difficult. And accountability doesn't have to be formal. It doesn't have to be a weekly meeting or a scheduled phone call. It can be as simple as telling a friend about a new habit you want to build or finding an online community with similar interests who will cheer you on. What matters most is that you have someone in your corner who knows your intentions and who will keep you honest. Whether it's a casual conversation or a structured arrangement, the key is creating a system where you're constantly reminded of your commitments and the importance of following through. Finally, it's essential to recognize that accountability is not just about maintaining motivation, it's about consistency. Motivation is fickle. Some days we feel on top of the world, like we can conquer anything. Other days we'd rather stay in bed and skip the work. But accountability doesn't care about your mood. It's there, regardless of how you feel. It's the steady force that keeps you moving forward, even when the energy isn't there. It ensures that your momentum doesn't stall, that you continue taking those small steps, even on days when you don't feel like it. That's the real power of accountability. It's the stabilizing force that ensures you don't fall off course. So if you're serious about achieving your goals and maintaining consistency, embrace accountability. Make it a core part of your journey. Find someone who can check in on your progress, give you constructive feedback, and hold you to your commitments. Make accountability non-negotiable in your life, because without it, you're fighting an uphill battle. When you have someone by your side holding you accountable, your path to success will become clearer, your motivation will stay high, and your consistency will turn into extraordinary results.